glad you guys caught that. I'm glad you're awake. Okay? It's good to be awake. All right, let's do some more. We got more work. Let's do some more work. How about, let's do number 23. That's what I want to talk about. 23 is interesting. We got negative 9 less than 7t plus 3 minus what? Minus 6t. So this one's similar. You know, the prior problem, we had to simplify the left side. This problem, what do we get to do? Simplify the right. So on the left, we still have negative 9. That's less than, what is 17 plus 3 minus 6t when we combine like terms? What happens here? 17 minus 6t becomes what? Isn't that t or 1t? Plus what? 3. We can't combine this term. What I'm saying is this term and this term are like. We simply keep the t, do the arithmetic with the constants. 7 minus 6. Yes, it's 1, but you don't have to put the what? The 1. All right, good. You got the t. So what happens now? You see this plus 3 business? We're going to do what? Translate. You say, why are we going to translate? Because we're trying to get t by itself. So it's positive on the right. It's going to be what? Negative on the left. So you're going to now have what? Minus 3. We still have what? Less than what? T. What's negative 9 minus 3?
Minus 12.
Negative 12. Less than what? T. Now this is what I wanted to talk about. This is interesting. Okay, this is what I wanted to point out to people. Remember, when do you switch the sign? When you multiply both sides by a negative number, or when you divide both sides by a negative number. And that's kind of what we looked at why that is. That's just inherent in, the relationships. But now you got negative 12 less than t. We're going to have to do things like graph this and write the right interval notation. Okay, so we're going to have to do that. The problem is you guys are not used to reading this how? From opposite from right to left. Because I've encouraged you to read how? Left to right. So then that now means, or you may start to say, well, what's happening now? What do we do with this? Well, let's think about this. Here's what we can do. I can write the t on the left. Stop and think about this. Are we really comparing two things? We're comparing negative 12 with what? T. You with me on that? We're comparing negative 12 with t. You're comparing it with the sign. So if I write t on the left, negative 12 on the right, I'm still comparing t with what? Negative 12. Pay attention to the detail. JAWS opens to the bigger what? Number. Is that true? JAWS is opening to t. Is that right? So I have to be consistent. JAWS still needs to point to what? T, or open to t. You guys okay with that? How is JAWS work? It's opening t. It's going to eat the bigger fish. It's still going to what? Eat the bigger fish. So what I want to remind you is this. You're used to writing and graphing and using interval notation by reading left to right. That's a good thing. That gets you to consistently describe your answers correctly. And so you have t greater than negative 12. The set notation, set of all t such that t greater than negative 12 is what you'll have. Now take a look as to why we did this. We did it because when we graph now, let's be careful here. We're used to graphing by reading this. Numbers that are greater than our reference of what? Negative 12. Negative 12 still is to the left. Here's my open circle. Numbers that are what? Greater than negative 12. Reference is negative 12. Numbers that are greater live where? To the right of negative 12 or to the left of negative 12? To the right. So be careful. How we learn this concept is by reading that left to right. Numbers greater than negative 12. Arbitrary numbers, arbitrary real numbers greater than negative 12. So we have the appropriate graph now. We can now also do what? Your interval notation. This is still a parentheses because we don't shade this. So, okay. Put your parentheses. So you have all three of the notations associated with your solution. And you just have to remember that if you have the number with the inequality and you solve for the letter, here you solve for t. T by itself, you solved it. When you read it left to right, just be consistent with how that inequality works. In the sense that if it's opening to the bigger number, it still needs to open to the what? The bigger number. Is that true? What time is it?
11:55.
Okay, we still have time, right? Exactly. All right, good. Yes?
And in what case would we use the bracket again?
When do you use the bracket?
Yeah.
Take a look over here. Do we use the bracket over here? Right? You say, because you what?
Yeah.
You have the, this means, this symbol is a greater than or equal to. When it equals, we use the bracket, or we shade it. Because that's saying we also include the value. How old do you guys have to be to drink legally? Be careful.
21.
Like I said, language is what? Language is important, ladies and gentlemen. You go to Jack in the Box. Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
What did I say?
They got picture of tacos.
Oh, you got to push the picture, the right picture. Right picture of tacos. How old do you have to be to drink again?
21.
Mm-mm.
Drink what?
At least what? 21.
In the Philippines, you can drink it at 10-year-old.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're 10 and you get to drink in the Philippines?
Anybody in there could buy
Legally?
a drink.
Legally? It's legal at 10 in the Philippines?
Legal. There's no legal thing.
In the United States, you got to be what?
21.
At least 21, ladies and gentlemen. Can you drink at 22?
Yes.
Can you? Anybody here 23 and drinks? Good or bad, sorry. What I'm saying is you have to be at least what? 21. 21 or over. 21 or more. This is 7 or what? More. Greater than or what? Equal. So, like I said, the language is associated very much to what you guys are looking at here. And like I said, I mean, I talk about these concepts when I teach probability and statistics. You have the same concepts. And people have a lot of trouble with that idea. And it's kind of interesting. I always say, hey, how old do you have to be to drink? People go, 21. No. 21 or what? Or more. So you have to be greater than or equal to what? 21. See what I'm saying? You include the 21. That's an important detail. And then people, people kind of really don't think about that, I guess. Right? Because you're already in that mode that when you turn 21, where are you going? To Vegas or something. I don't. And you always ask people, why do you go to Vegas?
Party.
They go, I'll ask students, why are you going to Vegas? And then what do they typically say? To drink. Say, oh, really? You can't drink in LA? No. I get to drink on the street. They're like, you're gonna drive in that hot desert for 8 hours so you can have a drink on the street? Drink in your yard. Drink in your yard. You don't have to drink on the street. Is that where everybody else drinks in their yard? You drink in your backyard?
I drink in my room.
You drink in your room? That's not a good sign. It's not good. You guys know that's a serious problem. You start drinking by yourself? Jesus.
Play video games.
Oh, you play video games. Drinking by yourself. It's not good. Well, and I guess you get in. I'm not going to mention the country because this is going to be on YouTube all over the world, so I won't mention the country. But you're saying in country X you get to drink at 10? Do people drink by themselves at 10?
No, Europe. They can drink it from each other.
Really? In Europe, can you drink at any age?
Of course.
Well, I don't know.
They make alcohol.
I don't know. Then what's so wrong about America? Why do we have all these rules?
We're idiots.
Is that what it is? We're uptight Americans?
You can buy cigarette at 2-year-old.
You can be 2? Buy cigarettes? Can you smoke? I think I seen that on the internet.
Yeah.
This is a 5-year-old kid smoking.
No, 2-year-old.
Oh, he's 2 and he's smoking?
He quit.
He quit. He got smart. He quit.
At 5.
At 5, he was 5 years old and he got smart and he stopped smoking.
You never seen anyone?
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, you're still wearing diapers and you're smoking, so. All right. What do you guys think about this? How do you get rid of the parentheses? You do what? Distributive property. So negative 4 times 2y is negative what? 8y. Negative 4 times negative 7 is what? Positive, huh?
68.
Positive 68 is less than negative what? 12y plus 36. Okay, so let's be careful with that. And again, as you guys already know, I have my variable y on both sides. I like to translate because it's the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to move my negative 12y on the right. I'm going to move the 68 on the left. So I have what? Negative 8y plus what? Plus 12y. That's still going to be less than, we're not changing that. And you got your 36 on the right, we didn't move. We moved the 68, it's now what? Minus 68. So you get negative 8y plus 12y, what does that give you? Is that 4y? And what's 36 minus 68?
32.
Is it positive or is it negative?
Negative.
Is it negative 32?
Yeah.
Okay. Now double check. What are you going to do? Divide both sides by 4. Do I have to switch the sign? No, I don't. Why is that? I divided by what? A positive. Don't switch the signs. Yes.
The 4 was negative, then you will switch the sign?
Yep. Only when I divide both sides by a negative r, multiply both sides by a negative, do I switch my sign. Cancel, cancel. Less. Here's y. What's negative divided by positive? What's 32 divided by 4? Negative 8.
How do you know when to switch the sign?
Divide them.
Let's see. When you do what?
Multiplying.
When you multiply both sides by a negative or divide both sides by a negative, that's when you switch your signs. Now, be careful because this really is an interesting idea. Be very, very careful. Some of you guys are going to say, ask that question. When do you switch the sign? Oh, okay, all right, I gotcha. Okay. How do you actually make sure that you can remember when the time comes?
Practice.
Exactly. You're going to now have to do what? Practice. Make sure you practice. And then, if I were you, like over here, oh, maybe we don't have it. What I used to do, every time I divided by a negative number, I wrote it in red. And then I switched the sign first in red. You know, and I did that because I want to emphasize that move. Notice I kept it in blue. I'm not emphasizing what? The idea. So this is a system I used to use when I took notes or when I did my homework or when I did all this stuff. And